Croeso up to the Extended Play PSN sale. There's not a massive amount of games in this sale, and a lot of them aren't on that great a discount, so be careful which games you pick up, because if I haven't covered them, you might not be getting a good deal. But hey, if you like finding some really cool games to play, and saving a lot of money along the way, then you're at the right place. Don't forget to subscribe, and you'll never miss a good deal again. You're welcome here anytime. This sale ends on the 5th of March, so that'll be the last day to pick up these deals. Let's look at the games. First up, we have Assassin's Creed Origins Gold Edition. It was released in 2017, so it's 8 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the price of £11.24, which is pretty good, as this includes all of the deluxe content, the Ambush at Sea mission, Desert Cobra equipment, shield, mount, 3 ability points, and Season Pass 2 story expansions, 2 customization packs, exclusive weapon, and 5 Helix credits, because this is a pay-to-win game. Bad Ubisoft. Naughty Ubisoft. This action RPG is set in ancient Egypt, and the story follows a Magi named Bayek of Siwa and his wife Aya, and tells the story of a conflict with the precursors of the Assassin's Brotherhood and the Order of the Ancients, who are forerunners to the Templar Order. Now, in general, you should be aware what you're getting with Assassin's Creed. The franchise is pretty stale at this point. Oh my god, Shadows is going to fail so hard. How much do you want to bet Ubisoft goes bankrupt soon? Anyway, the franchise is pretty stale. They had a really good heyday and they were legendary games at one point, but then they had a bit of a downfall where the games are very buggy and not as great. Pretty much anything after Black Flag was a downhill slope. But there were a couple of games that weren't that bad. Assassin's Creed Origins may not be one of the best ones around, but it's also not one of the worst. So if you're not fed up with the formula of having an open world where you get to climb towers, assassinate people, and just generally do assassiny things, and you like Egypt, then you'll probably really enjoy this game. Out of the more modern ones, this is probably one of the best ones. Get it on a pretty good deal sometimes. So if you're a fan of Assassin's Creed and you never picked this one up, or you like open world games and you want a game in Egypt, why not check it out? At this price, you are getting quite a lot of content for your money. And hey, if you've never played an action RPG before, then I wouldn't recommend starting here. There's much better games in the franchise and they're much cheaper than this, and there's even other AAA legendary franchises that are cheaper than this as well, so you're much better off starting with one of them instead. So don't miss the future videos, and you'll have plenty more options to choose from. We have a blast from the past next. Cobra Kai The Karate Kid Saga continues. It was released in 2020, so it's 5 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £6.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a pretty good deal, considering how expensive it normally is. In this beat 'em up, you get to play an all-new story, as either Cobra Kai or Miyagi-Do, fighting to prove you are the best around, that nothing's going to ever keep you down. If you get that reference, you're a big fan. It features 8 playable characters, 28 missions, RPG elements, 40 abilities, and full voice acting as well from the stars of the show. Now, if you have no idea what Cobra Kai is, hopefully you know what the Karate Kid series is. It's a legendary series of movies from back in the 80s, and this was a TV show that revitalized it and carried on with the characters as adults in modern day. It's a pretty good TV show. Either way though, if you're a fan of Cobra Kai, the Karate Kid, 80s action movies, or you just really like beat-em-ups, then you'll probably really like this game. These days you don't get a lot of beat-em-ups, and this is a pretty good one with a decent story, a lot of characters to play as, and it's got really good reviews and people seem to really like it. So if you like any of what I've said, why not take a look? It looks like a pretty cool old school game. And hey, if you never played a beat-em-up before, then I wouldn't recommend starting here. You can get others that are bigger AAA games, and even legendary old school retro ones for cheaper than this as well, and that's where I'd recommend starting instead. But don't worry, I'll let you know when they're on sale next, so don't miss a video, and then you won't miss out. Up next, we have Disjunction Digital Deluxe Edition. It was released in 2021, so it's 4 years old, and it's on a 90% discount for the price of £1.49, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal for a cool looking game. And this deluxe edition includes 7 avatars and the soundtrack as well, so you are getting a bit extra for your money, which is cool. This RPG is set in a tech-noir 2048 New York City. While an insidious drug spreads through the city, a prominent community leader is arrested, and you get to play as 3 citizens who rise up to uncover the truth and solve this injustice. It features meaningful story choices, although every game tends to say that, and they don't always deliver. But this one's got really good reviews and people seem to really like it, so it must do a good job at that at least. Either way, if you're into old school RPGs and you like the sound of this story, why not take a look at it? These days they don't make a lot of old school RPGs like this, so it is a bit refreshing to see one from the old style. So if you're a fan of big retro RPGs and you like sci-fi storylines, then maybe take a look at this game. It's not going to be for everyone, but for people that like this sort of thing, I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. If you like the sound of it, definitely take a look. And hey, if you never played an RPG before, then you could start here if you're looking for an old school sort of RPG. It's a really decent game at a low price. Now you can get other bigger AAA ones, but they're very rare, especially the older sort of gameplay, and they're not as cheap as this. So this is a pretty good place to start if you're into the older sort of gameplay for RPGs. We have a management game next, Prison Architect Total Lockdown Edition. It was released in 2021, so it's 4 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £9.99, which is pretty good considering how expensive it normally is. And this edition includes the 5 expansions, Escape Mode, All Day and Night, Psych Ward, Island Bound, and Going Green as well. So you get a massive amount of extra content included. For the best version of the game, with so much included, it's really good value. In this prison management sim, you get to build and manage the ultimate maximum security prison, balancing prisoner needs with profit. Can you maintain the worst criminals alive on a budget, or let them run rampant in gangsters' paradise behind closed doors? The decision's up to you, and your management and construction skills. Now, I do like management games in general. I usually have a lot of fun with them, and I find some of them very interesting, especially with the themes they come up with. And this is one of those games. It's a really cool idea and theme, and I think it'll be very interesting to play. Now, it's got really good reviews and people have loved it since it came out. It was a pretty big game with streamers for a while, and it's done the rounds because it's so popular, which is a good sign of quality. So if you like management games and you like the idea of managing a prison, then why not take a look at this? It looks like a really cool game with a lot of fun to be had, so why not take a look if you're interested? And hey, if you've never played a prison management game before, because there's not a lot of them around, then you could definitely start here. This is basically the most modern and best one around, and it's at a pretty good price. I don't know if it'll get cheaper, it gets to this price sometimes, but I've never seen it lower. So at the moment, this is the best deal you can get on it. But don't worry, if it changes, I'll let you know in future videos. Smoke and Sacrifice is our next game. It was released in 2019, so it's 6 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £3.19, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal. In this survival adventure, you're surrounded by a frozen wasteland, with the blessing of the Sun Tree protecting the only fertile land available. But after you sacrifice your own son, you discover a dark secret and must venture into a hidden land to discover the true fate of your only son. Now, I've seen a lot of reviews compare this to Don't Starve, which was a really good game, and I can see why. The graphics and the gameplay seem similar, especially the 2D aspect, but it's got a really dark and unique story, with an interesting world and creatures that I think a lot of people will have fun exploring. The reviews are pretty good, and it's at a pretty good price as well. So if you like survival adventure games and you want something with a darker story, then you might really like this game. It may not be the biggest AAA game around, but hey, it offers something different, and it looks pretty interesting. So if you're a fan of this genre and you like the look of it, why not check it out? It might just be a really good game if you give it a chance. And hey, if you've never played a survival adventure before, then I wouldn't recommend starting here. You can get bigger AAA games for about the same price, so you're much better off starting with one of them instead. But don't worry, I'll let you know when they're on sale next, so don't miss the future videos. Up next, we have Steel Rising, Bastille Edition. It was released in 2022, so it's 3 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of $11.59, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really good price, especially considering how expensive it normally is. Now, this game is for PS5 only, but this edition does include the discus chain weapon and the story expansion, Cagliostro's Secrets as well. So again, the complete version of the game, with a fair bit of extra content included, which is really great. You can't ask for much more, really. This is a Souls-like game, and is set in an alternate 1789 Paris, where Louis XVI has suppressed the revolution using his merciless mechanical army, and it falls to Aegis, a mysterious automaton masterpiece, to confront the king's army and save France. Now, Souls-like games are pretty popular at the moment, and when this game came out it got really bad reviews. People really hated it. It was pretty buggy, and there was quite a backlash to it. But since then, they've ironed that out. The reviews are really positive now, and my gut feeling says it's a good game. Now, this is a pretty AAA game, and you're getting really good quality for your money. So if you're willing to overlook the launch issues, then you're getting a really good game here. And I really like the story and the aesthetic as well. Being set in 1789 and having this alternate history with a mechanical army and automatons is very interesting and different. It's nice to see something that's not just fantasy, magic, and demons again, you know? Either way, if you're a fan of Souls-like games, especially big AAA ones, and you've played all of the rest, or you want something a bit different, then why not take a look at this? I think it'll surprise a lot of people, and it'll be well worth your time and money. So why not check it out if you like the sound of it? And hey, if you've never played a Souls-like game before, then I wouldn't recommend starting here. Like I said, it was a bit controversial when it launched, although I think it's over that now. But you can get other ones cheaper than this, and even bigger AAA games, and even legendary ones, or ones from more renowned franchises as well. So you're probably better off starting with one of them instead. But don't worry, there's a lot to choose from, and I'll cover them in future videos when they're on sale. So don't miss out, and then you won't miss them when they're on sale next. Up next is my star buy, the Shadow Warrior Trilogy. It was released in 2023, so it's 2 years old, and it's on at least an 80% discount for the price of $13.19 or £9.89 with PS Plus, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal, especially as this trilogy includes 3 full games of the Shadow Warrior 1, 2, and 3 Definitive Edition, with the PS5 version of 3 included also. So you're getting all 3 games with all versions included, and the Definitive Edition of the 3rd one as well, which is great. You're getting everything included in one big package. The first game is based on the cult classic FPS, and this game follows the corporate shogun Lo Wang, who is betrayed and left for dead by his employer, and now with a katana of limitless power and a bunch of guns, he must stop a demonic invasion and get his revenge. In the second game, it follows the further misadventures of Lo Wang as he survives as a reclusive mercenary who must wield a devastating arsenal of weapons and magic to strike down the demonic legions overwhelming the world before it's too late. And the third game adds a spectacular new free-running movement system, as Lo Wang must embark on an improbable mission through demon-infested land to recapture an ancient dragon he unwittingly unleashed from his eternal prison. Now all in all, these games are pretty niche. They're based on a legendary series, but they were pretty popular when they came out. There's not much story to them, and they prioritize crazy action and gameplay over anything else. There's no online multiplayer or anything like that with these games, so if you're into single player FPS and you like them with a load of action and cool gameplay with a pretty bare bones story, then you'll have a lot of fun with these. Especially if you enjoy gameplay over everything else, then there's a lot of fun to be had with these. So if you've always wanted to try this trilogy, or you like the sound of these really cool action FPS, then why not check them out? You're getting a massive amount of games for your money, and if you're into this sort of thing, it's well worth your time and money, I promise. Like I said, it's my star buy, definitely take a look at it. And hey, if you've never played an action FPS before, then I'm not sure I'd recommend starting here. It's a really good deal for 3 really good games, but you are getting 3 games, so if you don't like them, you're getting a lot of games for your money that you're never going to play. So you're better off just buying a different game instead, and then at least you're not risking as much money. But don't worry, there'll be plenty more games for you to choose from in future videos. But hey, if you're interested, like I said, it's my star buy, they are worth checking out. If you're interested at all, give them a look. We have a puzzle game next, the Talos Principle Deluxe Edition. It was released in 2015, so it's 8 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the price of £3.74, which is really great, but it has been cheaper in the past. The only problem with that is that it was in 2023, so that was a while ago, and the price was $2.49. So even though it's been cheaper, it's not much cheaper than it is right now, and you don't very often see it on a sale this low. So it's worth taking a look at because it hasn't been this low in ages. And this edition includes all of the DLC as well, so you're getting the complete version of the game, which is really cool. In this puzzle game, you awaken a simulation of mankind's greatest ruins, and as you explore while solving puzzles and collecting block pieces, you uncover more about the simulation and its secrets, hoping to escape and find the real world eventually. Now, the sequel of this came out not too long ago, and I've personally completed this game. I really like puzzle games, and I really like this game as well. The puzzles are really challenging, and really fun as well, especially as you get further into it. Some of the later ones are pretty complex, and they provide an enjoyable challenge, which is really great. The ending is pretty cool as well. There is a mystery and a story to this game, and I'm not going to spoil it. But at the end, there is a progression where you want to know what happens later, and the second game offers you that. So if you like puzzle games, I'd recommend this one, especially with the sequel that's out now. There is a continuation to it, and I'm intrigued to play the sequel myself. So if you're a fan of puzzle games like me, definitely take a look at this one. I think it's a really great game. And hey, if you've never played a puzzle game before, then you could definitely start here if you want. It's a really great game for a pretty decent price, and you get a lot of content included as well. And the story's not bad either, especially towards the end it gets pretty interesting. So if you've always been interested by a puzzle game, especially a 3D one that's more complex than the 2D ones, then why not take a look at this? It's a pretty cool idea for a game, and I really enjoyed it. So if you're tempted, definitely take a look. And the final game I have for you is Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus Deluxe Edition. It was released in 2017, so it was 8 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the price of £7.49, which is a pretty good deal considering how expensive it normally is. And this edition includes the season pass of 3 DLC story expansions as well. Now, just so you know, there's a bundle where you can get the first 2 games and this one included, but it doesn't include the DLC for the 3rd game, and the DLC is pretty expensive. So, you're probably better off buying them individually on low discounts to get the best price, but just be aware if you buy the bundle of 3, you don't get the DLC, which will cost you as much as this game on its own. So, it's not exactly a great deal. They should have included the DLC as well. In this FPS, you've been sent into Nazi-controlled America on a mission to recruit resistance leaders to fight back against the Nazis in iconic American locations. It features an arsenal of weapons and awesome new abilities as well. Now, Wolfenstein was a massive series back in the day, like alongside Doom and all of that. It's that level of legendary. And when they remade them not too long ago, they were a big hit. They were really popular, and they've been a pretty good franchise ever since. Apart from the newest one that kind of sucked and nobody liked it. Don't play that one. And this game's no different. If you like your FPS with a story and a single player campaign more than online multiplayer and no story, then this is where you should be looking. These sorts of games have really cool stories and have really good single player campaigns. So if you like your games with a good story and action, then why not take a look at this? Especially if you've played the first two or you're a fan of the series, it's a really good game with a lot of content included. So take a look at it. It's a lot of fun for people that like these sorts of shooters. And hey, if you've never played an FPS before, then I wouldn't recommend starting here. It's the third game in a franchise, so you're probably better off starting with the earlier ones if you're interested in this series. But if not, there's plenty of first-person shooters around, and even though they don't make really good single-player stories in general these days, there is a lot of them that have really good single-player campaigns and stories, and you have a lot to choose from, with a load of different variety and different themings as well. So don't worry, you're better off starting with one of them, but the good news is, there's a load of them, and there'll be a lot to choose from in the future. So don't miss a video, and then you'll see them when they're on sale next. And that's all the games I have for the Extended Play PSN sale. What did you think of the games I picked? Did I pick good ones or did I pick bad ones? And what about the Star Buy? Did it deserve it? Or should some other game have got it instead? Leave all your comments below and we could talk about it later. Anyway, I hope you found some really cool games to play, but more importantly I hope you saved a lot of money. I'll see you guys in the next sale. Au revoir.